Guess what? Corporate media is the misinformation problem. The largest media outlet. So this is from the Daily Poster. David Sirota, friend of the show, and Academy Award nominee for Don't Look Up.
Don't Look Up Information. It was the full thing.
Corporate media is the misinformation problem. The largest media outlets are platforming con artists, skewing the news, and immersing the country in a flood of lies. Well, we've always known this. But now everybody's pretending like CNN is a beacon of truth and Joe Rogan's a liar. The exact opposite is the truth. And so this is a good article, so we're going to break it down for you. NBC News just hired, you ready for this? The people who are screaming about misinformation. They just hired one of the biggest liars in news, a guy named Stephen Hayes, one of the key architects of the Iraq War misinformation, to serve as political and analyst across all of its properties amid a media drumbeat for a war with Russia. Despite Hayes publishing the seminal book amplifying one of the most egregious lies in the Iraq debacle, NBC's Chuck Todd lauded this guy as a principled reporter and analyst who always puts truth and facts above emotion and sentiment.
Where did they find Chuck Todd? Like,
where did they find Chuck Todd?
He really is like a guy with two first names. Look about him.
I know he didn't finish college, and that, again, it doesn't make you a bad person, but it certainly doesn't. It reveals that the host of... Anyway, here we go. Here's the book this guy wrote. How Al-Qaeda's collaboration with Saddam Hussein has endangered America. The connection, Stephen Hayes. So this is straight up propaganda that this guy, Stephen Hayes, it's a lie, not true. It's made up. It's fabricated. It's misinformation. It's disinformation. And NBC just hired this guy.
Oh, the Weekly Standard. So he was like a neocon or something? Is that what it is?
That's what it looks like.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, CNN just hired another Iraq war propagandist, right-wing propagandist, Jonah Golberg. So that's NBC and CNN. And go ahead. Yes. Speaking of CNN, its employees effusively praised their network's recently deposed president, Jeff Zucker, even after Zucker oversaw the lionization of Andrew Cuomo, while the New York governor was shielding his healthcare industry donors from legal consequences amid a massacre of nursing home residents. Okay. Rolling Stone reported that one source said Zucker was personally involved in engineering the Cuomo promotion and even helped write talking points for the governor. Corporate media began touting a comeback for Cuomo and his brother Chris with no mention of the nursing home catastrophe, as if nothing bad happened over the last 2 years. So you know that Andrew Cuomo made them put those elderly people with COVID back into their nursing homes, infecting other people and killing them. And then he lied about it. And he lied about the numbers. And his own staff revealed he was lying about it. And nobody covered that part of the story. It barely got covered. And then he's talking about making a comeback, and nobody brings that up when they talk about Cuomo's making a comeback. You want to say something, Kurt?
I like how Zucker's like, I made Trump into a superstar. You're a perfect Trump that I can make into a super. I could do it again.
That's right. An MSNBC platformed Washington newsletter blasted out propaganda touting Kroger's great pay and benefits. That's Kroger, the grocery store. Even as thousands of its employees are struggling to afford basic necessities, and even as the grocery chain bankrolls lobbying groups working to kill union rights legislation. That's an MSNBC platformed newsletter. The New York Times told its readers that President Joe Biden's big climate goals depend on Congress, somehow not mentioning that they also depend on Biden, who has been using his executive authority to expand drilling at a faster pace than President Trump. Of course. Remember Chomsky said you got to vote for Joe Biden or else your kids are going to be underwater because Chomsky lost his mind and he's now blatantly lying to scaremonger you into voting for Democrats? Remember when he said that? That was his argument to Brianna Joy Gray. Well, if you don't vote for Biden, your kids are going to be underwater. Joe Biden being worse for the environment than Donald Trump, just like he's worse for immigrants than Donald Trump. And Chomsky will lie to you. He's not getting it wrong. Chomsky lied. He knows better. And he knows the two-party duopoly is a murderous two-party duopoly, and he tells you to keep propping it up. MSNBC aired an interview with a New York Times columnist blaming inflation on workers getting COVID relief money, rather than on corporations using their monopoly power to fleece consumers with higher prices that then fund giant executive pay packages and shareholder dividends. Wow. Corporate media doesn't get to lie the country into a war and a financial crisis, continue enriching right-wing fabulists, offer up news literally presented by corporate villains, and then pretend that a podcaster is the singular source of misinformation. And it sure as hell doesn't get to feign surprise when, after decades of lies, almost nobody ends up trusting corporate media about anything. That's that Brian Stelter. Why does 11 million people, why do they trust Joe Rogan? Why don't they trust me?
He's just winging it without even getting a...
We need a fourth estate that does not reward peddlers of the most outrageous lies, like, say, Saddam and Al-Qaeda connection with prominent gigs. You don't reward those liars. We need television networks whose anchors don't run out onto the airwaves to defend top brass amid reports that they helped politicians and political operatives effectively cover up a health disaster. An emotional Don Lemon delivers a personal message on Jeff Zucker's exit from CNN. Thank you, Jeff Zucker, for everything you did for everyone at this network and for what you did for the entire country. What?
Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to go unwanted rub my balls on a bartender's face. Excuse me.
If you excuse me, I'm still looking for the real killers in the Jesse Smollett investigation. If you excuse me, I'm going to look for a plane that's flying over the Indian Ocean. I think it got sucked into a black hole. We don't have much of that right now, in part because political tribalism has taught audiences to selectively love and hate misinformation based on whether it comes from their team. That's exactly 100% right. Many liberals love monikers like Believe Science and see themselves as dispassionate protectors of the truth. But let's be clear. If you're a liberal who purports to hate misinformation but also cheers on Liz Cheney or Bill Kristol or some other war propagandist as a beacon of integrity just because you see them defending Democrats or bashing Donald Trump on your favorite TV network, then you don't actually hate misinformation. You just happen to like your misinformation colored blue, even if that misinformation was previously colored red. And if you're in corporate media and think it's okay for your news outlet to routinely skew and cover up the crimes of politicians and business, then you're not actually interested in journalism's mission to comfort the afflicted and afflict the comfortable. The answer to misinformation, then, is not some censorship regime, and it's not more intense fan culture around individual media icons so that everything is self-enriching culture war between cable TV pundits and Spotify hosts. So the answer is not that. The answer is not some censorship regime. The answer is more free speech. The answer to bad speech is good speech. And tip of the hat to the Daily Poster, Dave Sirota, for getting that right. Friend of the show. And I bet you David Sirota is also, this is a great article, and I bet you he's thrilled to find out he was wrong that McCarthy can't become speaker if the Democrats have the majority, like he said on this show. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that great? I bet he's thrilled to know that he was wrong about that, as he said on the show, and then lied about us doctoring a video. But then he got an Academy Award nomination, so it wipes all that away. So congrats. I'm super jealous. That's great. His first foray into screenwriting becomes a Academy Award nominee. Boy, that is quite an accomplishment. I'm super jealous. Anything you want to say about this story, Kurt? And
the movie was just okay. I mean, the actors were Academy Award winning. Acting, I thought. The story was pretty muddled and I would say mealy-mouthed to where I didn't know what it was about.
I agree with all that, except who am I to criticize? I've never written a movie. I've never done any of that stuff. So
I think if I did, it would be better than that.
I'm sure. So they did it. So I can't. You know, the credit goes to the man who's in the arena, right? Not to the man who points out where the man in the arena could have done better. Right? So tip of the hat again. Hey, we're doing live stand-up comedy in Philadelphia on February 20th. We just added a second show. And February 26th, back here in Los Angeles, go to jimmydorecomedy.com for a link for all the tickets for all our live shows.